everyone. It is Christmas week. Welcome to the Light Gate. We are coming to you live from the beautiful city of New Orleans in the beautiful state of Louisiana at the United Public Radio Network at 107.7 FM and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network at 105.3 FM on the Gulf Coast. We are coming to you live, well, tonight, pre-record actually, from we're on Facebook, we're on Roku, we're on Rumble, and we're on YouTube. We have a lot going on. I want to thank our sponsors. Thank you, Carnation. We love you very much. We depend on you, and we thank you very much. Happy Christmas. All right. So, Preston, it's a pre-record, so we get to do whatever we want. What do you want to do now?
Well, not whatever we want, but...
Well, kind of. Okay. All right.
Yeah, well, thanks, Dolly, and thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. Super excited. We've got a really wonderful guest. He's in Europe, so we're doing a pre-record. And yeah, this is episode 140 of The Light Gate. I'm your host, Preston Dennett, and my lovely co-host is, of course, Dolly Safran. Again, thank you for joining us tonight. Just hello to all of you. You know who you are. You know that we love you. So thank you for joining us. But we're just going to dive directly into the show. But before we do, I just want to say Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, Merry Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. I hope you are having a wonderful holiday season. So our guest tonight is actually a returning guest. We're very excited to have him. I adore him. He is an amazing guy. And our guest is Gerard Pratt. His friends call him Jed, so I'm just going to do that. He is an experiencer, an astral traveler, an author, and just an amazing all-around guy. Let me tell you a little bit about him. This is his third appearance on the show. He's a passionate researcher and author from Liverpool in the UK. And he invites readers to explore the incredible world of astral projection in his relatively newly released book, The Astral Traveller, Guardians of Light and Shadow. And he's working on a new book, so we'll be talking about that. But this book is amazing. It reveals a supernatural battleground where light and darkness intersect, uncovering higher dimensions and sacred spaces that ignite wonder. Gerard's path has been marked by chilling childhood premonitions and a sighting of a silver disc-shaped craft. His experiences have led him to unlock ancient knowledge through encounters with spirits, extraterrestrials, and ethereal beings. Actively participating in local CE5 fieldwork and heist initiatives, he has witnessed unidentified aerial phenomena firsthand. Through psychic circles, mediums, and seances, Gerard has honed his clairvoyance and experienced the phenomena of divine voices and spirit materialization, validated by polygraph-tested testimony. He passionately shares his transformative experiences through podcasts and discussions with fellow truth seekers, and his relentless pursuit of truth is embodied in his motto, Vincit, let me see if I can get this right, Vincit Omnia Veritas, meaning truth conquers all. If I butchered that, Jed, you can let me know. But yeah, we're going to be talking about all kinds of things tonight. So I'm super excited. Hi, Jed.
Hi, welcome back.
Hi there. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. We truly appreciate it. You were really popular on the last two times, so it's an absolute honor to have you back.
That's brilliant. And with an introduction like that, what can I say? That's truly amazing.
Yeah, so how's the book been doing, the Astral Traveller book?
Astral Traveller, I've been on a few podcasts. It's selling quite well.
Right.
It's quite a complex book. You know, there's a lot going on in the book. So the feedback I've been getting is pretty good. So I think it's still got a long way to go, really. And I think maybe when the second book hits, which is a ufology-based book. See, the second book is a follow-up from this book, but it could be a standalone book too. But I think that'll raise the profile of the Astral Traveller, because it's quite a niche subject, astral projection. And although the Astral Traveller is my journey, it's a teaching book. So effectively, it's a how-to book, as well as with my journey promoting how to do it by example. but yeah, it's doing really well, and I think it's got a fair way to go still too. So I'm happy, and the project was amazing to do. But it was going to be one book, but I split it into two. So the ufology side of it, because I decided, occultism with an astral projection, yeah, outer body stuff fits in well with ufology, but there's certain crossovers that within spiritism and things that weren't really matching. And plus, I had a lot of it's 329 pages, so I had to split it. Really, it was too much. But the second book, I'm going to try and keep the second book down to, I would say 250 pages or something, because I don't want to go to that extreme. But yeah, thanks for asking anyway. It's doing really well. I think
Awesome.
Still got a fair way to go.
I'm glad to hear that, because it's a really good book. I enjoyed it immensely. And that's not just because I'm totally into this subject. It's an absolute adventure story, and it's got all kinds of knowledge in it as well. So I can't recommend it enough.
I've tried to do the same with the second book, really, from a ufology point of view. So I think I think the second book will do quite well. It's a real, shall we say, like a swashbuckler of a UFO book. It's got a bit of everything. There's a bit of light and dark in it too. There's a bit of nuts and bolts, and it's a lot of, aspects of the phenomenon that aren't nuts and bolts, the human factor and the psychic side of it. So I think I'm trying to do it like an all-round thing, but I mean, with the release of like the Age of Disclosure recently and stuff, there's certainly room for that in the book. But I think it's more to do with the psychic side of it, to do with the non-physical side of ufology. It's a good mix, I think, because you've got to think of what kind of audience you're working towards, and my journey has been a bit of both. So yeah, I think it'll do all right. But it's a follow-up from the first book, but it can be read as a standalone book. But I guess we'll talk about that again. When it gets released, probably in April time. I'll probably send you an ebook file or something, and a bit closer to the time. And it's got a fair way to go, but it's pretty nailed down the chapters now. It's looking good.
Well, I know the process. It takes a while. It's a lot of work.
You've done a few books yourself now, haven't you?
Well, a few.
But, yeah, like a few dozen.
But yeah, well, I'm glad to hear that you're doing a UFO book, because this subject is just growing in popularity right now.
It certainly is, isn't it?
Oh, it's crazy. So,
and it's only going to get bigger, isn't it? I think by this time next year, if what we think, with the Spielberg release and more disclosure movies, it's only going to get bigger and bigger.
Have you seen the Spielberg?
No, I've seen the trailer. I mean, the movie is an hour.
I just watched the trailer.
Right. What did you think of the trailer?
I only watched it once. I only seen it once, and I to be honest with you, I didn't quite get to the end. I thought, oh, this is a bit of a horror. Is it a horror movie or something? I'm not sure.
Very, very dark. I almost couldn't do it either. I don't watch horror movies in any way, shape, or form.
No, I don't.
And it ripped me out to sit there and watch because I was trying to understand what was he doing,
Yeah, I don't know where he's going with that.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there are elements of dark within the subject, but for me, it's predominantly light. I don't know.
Right. I got an entire lecture today from Tolada because of that trailer, watching that trailer. I'm not supposed to do stuff like that, and because it affects me. All right.
Yeah.
And so I got a talking to about it, and I got reminded of things that I learned when I was younger about this whole subject. And most people don't want to hear the truth about it. Most people are. Let me ask your opinion about this. I'm just going to throw this out and see what you have to say. All right.
Go ahead.
All right. From your perspective. Okay.
Yeah.
It was explained to me that, we're all in source together, right? We're all in source together. There is nothing negative or, there's no antimatter in our universe, nowhere. Okay. Especially in the third dimension. It's very void of it. You have to go extra dimensional to find anything that even approximates that, and it's not really there. Okay. So, I always wondered when I was really small, because I had an issue at 5 with this. where does evil come from? What is the darkness? What is that? And what about the fallen angels? What is that? You know? And there are a lot of conflation of evidence and knowledge in the Bible. Okay. There's a lot of things that got conflated together and shouldn't have been. And one of the things that I was taught was that personally, each one of us can give up parts of us by becoming negative. Okay. That we're here not to do that. We're here to become wise, more wise, to know all that's noble, right? And to elevate ourselves, to evolve. Okay. And in source, at some point, there was some that were going negative. In other words, they were choosing it, even in source, choosing it. And they went, nope, now you've done it. Okay. Now you have to go and start whatever journey you began to get here. You're going back. And this is the third dimension that we live in. This is where we go to learn these things from. The choice to lose it and go forward, straightforward with the right things, and lose and cast off all the other bad stuff. So what we don't realize as human beings here, that all the negativity, all the spookiness, all of the hate, all of the violence, all of the demons and everything, it's us. We're doing it here in this dimension, especially on this planet. And that one of the things we're supposed to be doing is losing it, getting rid of it, stopping it. And we haven't really been doing that at all. This is why ET's like very concerned about us, you know.
So what's the question then?
The question is, he's agreeing with me, so I almost don't even have to.
Well, I'm agreeing with you because I'll be answering the question in when I start, because like how synchronicities work. The message of the experiments extraterrestrial, which is the title of the new book, was the message that I was given by spirit, because I asked, why am I having this contact with supposed extraterrestrials, Greys and Nordics, and the message I got was, it's the experiment extraterrestrial. We have commenced the experiments extraterrestrial. So I said, well, what's the benefits to me? What's in it for me? And the answer I got was evolution. And I was shown two versions of self, an evolved version and an unevolved version.
De-evolved, yes.
And they said it's accelerated evolution. So, you know, that was one of the answers they gave me. So I think I understand what the question is. The question is, by being more evolved, we lose that state of negativity.
Yes.
Because I feel that we're inhabited sort of by, our spirit is from elsewhere. Obviously, it's not from here, is it?
Right.
So when we're incarnated in the physical, we can't know the answers, because I don't like to think of it as a test, but we're isolated from the answers because that's the only way we're going to evolve. But I don't think the extraterrestrials have got the same freedom, where they're more aware of the timeline. So we're isolated to evolve. So it's within us to do that. So if you want to go down the negativity path, follow the dark path, if you like, then that's a sign of an unevolved person, I think.
Yep.
One of the issues that you just brought up, and you stated it very eloquently to me, is that people do believe what you just said about we're cut off. And one of the things that was taught by ET to bring forward to teach people, okay, and I want to put it to you like this. You're a spiritual being, your consciousness itself, okay? Your physical mind is cut off from your consciousness by will, your will. In other words, fear, no knowledge, no academic pursuit of what you really are and how to use it. And we've got generations of people who have cut themselves off from it and not used it. We could evolve quite nicely, very well, working together in consensus with one another, if we all delved back to that, went back to that, and relearned how to use our abilities that we've stopped ourselves from doing. Evil did that. Evil put the kibosh on us. Literally, it took over. It wanted control of us. It can have your reasons. I have heard them all. But anything that wants control has to have control, and it can't have you knowledgeable and able to perform the way you should be performing and in your evolution. So they messed you up. They messed us all up.
So you're going down the Gnostic theory. So there's like the archons, or it doesn't have to be that, or whether you call them fallen angels. There's an influence draining humanity, so it's easy to fall under the influence of this.
Anything that wants control over us will stop us from using our abilities and thinking for ourselves.
Is it control over us or control over the planet? Because there seems to be a very negative control force.
So for the whole planet, you're exactly correct. It's planet-wide. We are on this planet, and they want control of all of us, and it's the planet itself that they use to control us, plus all the other stuff. And you're born fully functioning psychic. Every child is born fully functioning psychic. They're untouched. They're pure, okay? But it's during infancy and early childhood phases all the way up to the age of 9 where that's negated. You're given poisonous things to eat, bad air, bad water, bad influences, everything, and it shuts it all down. See,
I think the media plays a big role here too.
Oh yeah,
just going back to the Spielberg clip.
That's why I got upset.
Was definitely that shocks me because I really love his movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and E.T. the Extraterrestrial was a wonderful movie, and I was expecting something more along those lines.
But Preston, people want to think about the craft coming to take over Earth and stuff. I think they like the thought of a ship coming with extraterrestrials from elsewhere. Once they find out that, what I believe, that if that's not really the case, the extraterrestrials are already here. They're either within us or around us, or they've been here from the beginning, I believe. And that's quite uncomfortable for people. So they like a good scary thing where it's coming from outside. And, if they find, when the truth is given, that what I believe, there may be extraterrestrials coming from elsewhere, but they're already here and have always been here influencing humanity. And I believe most of them are good, but I think there is some negativity within factors which you could associate with them, but no one knows the full truth. We've all got part of the story, I think, but the influence on humanity, if you were to say it was fallen angels, would you class that as extraterrestrial? I don't know. It's an influence.
It's actual entities, not from this dimension. Look, so I'm going to tell you something. I'm declaring something to you today, right now. Okay, I've been loath to do it until now. You're the perfect person to talk to straight at. Okay, I absolutely know the answers. I am an absolute teacher. Okay, I've been sent here with that express purpose. This is my path, my destiny to be here to clarify, give you all the truth, so that you understand what's really going on. It is not refutable. You cannot refute truth when it's spoken. And believe me, when I say something to most people, they hear it and they go, oh yeah, okay. Okay, so the truth is this. The Fallen Angels was written by men who were influenced, okay? So they didn't speak the 100% truth about what was really going on. When I said to you earlier that all of us are entities, we're all consciousness and we're all in source together. It doesn't make us one better than the other. They didn't know what they were looking at back then, and they called them angels. They were us and you and E.T. all together, okay? We are the children of E.T. We did not start on this planet. We weren't put here or evolved here. We were planted, okay? They are our progenitors. We are their children. That is the truth. And there's just some things that you have to walk in truth over to realize what it is you're gambling with while we're here on this planet. And we're gambling with a monster who's a liar, who's working 24/7 to confuse you to the point that you can't make heads or tails. And you're going to ask question after question after question with no answers unless somebody shows up to tell you. I'm one of many who have come here for this reason. Buddha came here. Milarepa came here. Jesus Christ came here. I could go down the list. There are millions of us who have been taught by E.T. expressly, I am not a guru. I am not a god. I am just like you, but I know because I was taught the truth. I was raised outside of this existence so that I can tell you the truth. All right?
Okay.
And I'm tired of people telling me nobody knows the truth. Oh, yeah, they do. I'm one of them. I stand up now, raise my hand in truth, and I tell you, I am one of the teachers. I'm not playing games anymore because time is short. Okay. If you want to be totally abused by evil, you go right ahead. That's your path. Take it. You're going to be left. You're not going to be left to go to hell or any of that other stuff, but you won't make it through to what you think you're going to make it through to. You're going to give up so much of yourself that you might cease to exist. That's what evil will do to you, period. And the evil that's on this planet now and around us and other places in the universe, because they exist too, in the third dimension. There are other planets like this one who are stupidly doing the same stupid thing we are. Okay. That's why ET is watching us very closely. When you have children and they're going in the wrong direction, what do? You let them play it out. You try to teach them, you give them advice, you show them the way, you do whatever you can, but you can't interfere in their exact lives.
Well, we all have the autonomy to make these choices, and that's exactly what I think we're here to learn, to make that choice.
You are true. ET walks among you. Yes, they do. But they are not physically, it's only the ones that chose to be here. Okay. The majority of them right now are not here. They all left. They took their stuff and they left because we are now at a phase where they can't be here. Okay. And those of us that are here and are talking are trying to give everybody the message and they're not listening. What's funny to me is that you're this close, close. When I see you and I hear you talking, I know that you know the truth. Okay. A lot of it, but you won't walk completely 100% into it. Okay. You have to decide, literally have to decide. Where are you going with this? Are you going to propagate what's negative, evil, and a lie? Or are you going to go toward what's absolutely true and only repeat that which is true? See what I'm saying? If you hear somebody talking and you don't stop them mid-sentence even, I've been told I interrupt people like, you bet yeah I do, because when you're walking down that path, I will stop you and say, you need to think this one through. Okay. And it's because I have been given the ability to do that. I have authority. Truth gives you authority. You realize that, right? When you know absolutely what truth is and there's no mistaking it and you've lived it, you've employed it, and now you know it, that's authority. When I say to you, this is the truth, please try to understand that. I'm not telling you to believe me on the top. I'm telling you to look it up and learn it for yourself. But I've given you a way, a light. I'm pointing a light in the direction you need to be going. That's what I'm doing here. Okay.
Right. Well, let's go back, Jed, to how for people who haven't heard of you before, because we do have a lot of new people who've joined us since you were last on the show.
Okay.
So, maybe you can start by telling people a little bit about yourself and how you got involved in this field, and then we can sort of roll out from there.
Okay, that's great. Well, as Preston said, this is my third time on the show, so we have been through this. But for those who don't know, when I was a child, I had visions as a child, and then I seen a craft over my home, and that opened me up to the possibility of, there's others amongst us, and it's something that stayed with me when I was young. And in my early teens, I started having OBEs. Well, actually, it was sort of mid-late teens, spontaneous OBEs. And I suppose I had quite a few visitations in my 30s, but it wasn't until I was 40 that the OBEs ramped up and I started having direct OBEs. And then I started getting voices. And it was a variety of spirits made themselves known to me, entities, including extraterrestrials. And from about 2018, it just went wild, really. And I was having numerous OBEs. We had a lot of spirits in the home. I ended up joining a spiritual circle, which I still attend. And I give messages, I receive messages of other people. So I'm developing clairvoyance. So I'm involved, and I like to meditate a lot. I still do have the occasional OB, but since I started writing books, it took me away from it slightly. But I'm busy, and I like to go to conferences and speak to other people on the same path. I attend CE5 meetings, so I'm involved with the heist community as well. So all around, I'm involved in, I would say, more in the ufology community. but also within the spiritual community. So I am a believer. And like I do attend seances and a spiritual circle. So that's where I'm up to. And that's generally me, really, and I work on the railways, so I do work a normal job as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I enjoy talking about these subjects, really. And that's quite worrying because as you know, Preston, and you certainly know, Dolly, when you're talking to non-believers, or you're talking to people that want to talk about mundane, normal, day-to-day things, you're sort of yearning to talk about like either the supernatural or predominantly, ufology-based subjects, or any of those things.
Something
Life just
deep.
once you go down
Yeah.
a rabbit hole,
Yeah, it's the difference of, yeah.
everything else is
Yeah.
quite boring. I love
It's hard
talking
to
about
live
these
in a
things.
world where everybody is locked in and you're on the outside of it, literally. And
Yeah,
you're the one who's actually living a normal life and they're not. And it's kind
that's
of
how it
hard.
feels. They
It's
can't
hard
see the
Yeah, I agree with
you,
to
that.
you're
have a
seeing the
conversation with
moves.
anybody. Yeah.
You're
So
seeing you feel, you resonate with truth, and you feel like they're missing out, like they're going around with blinkers on. And that's nothing negative, because maybe I was the same at one time. But like I've just said on my introduction, I think after seeing a craft when I was 7 and having the visions, and I just always knew there was more, and then within my development and stuff. I mean, me and my wife have physically seen craft, and we've had an energetic resonance with the craft, which altered our vision and all that. So there's, we've been to seances where we've seen things levitate and things. So we know that the world isn't what we think it is. I think
right.
it's definitely less physical than we think it is.
It is
And I
less
think
physical.
we're more dominant in as people. We have a lot more power over our environment than we think. A lot more control. Things. I'm not saying it's a matrix, but I see it as a spiritual construct. That's what I see the world as.
Yeah.
And I believe that we can alter that, and we can, by using a form of manifestation to a certain degree. But the consensus by the majority are controlling the narrative. So the more people that believe something, and we've just been speaking about the negativity of the majority and so forth. So they will drive, the energy of the majority will drive. So, I'm not saying that we can't affect change, because when someone's resonating on the right frequency, they will have like a light or an aura around them. They will light up a room. But it is difficult, because I think it seems to me like we're in a position of a bit of a stalemate with the planet now. I think there's so many people are following a negative path, a materialistic path.
Yeah.
A lot of people are paddling their own canoe, as they say, and they don't even know they're selfish. But
No.
so I try to strike a balance, and the more OBEs I have, the more astral projection I do, then the lighter I feel, and the more it connects me to the spirit. And when you feel the spirit, you feel a sense of oneness and love and stuff, and that will last for days. But
Are
after you've
you
had an OBE,
are you able to OBE every day?
no, not at the moment. And because I've chose this path of going into doing the writing and stuff,
Mhm.
it's like, I might have a spontaneous one, but I'm not practicing at the moment. I'm not trying, because it can be tiring for me. But then again, I'm saying that it could happen where spirit will deem it a time to spontaneously initiate the OBs.
Can I
So
ask you a
that can
question?
happen.
Do
Yeah.
you realize that you OB every night, whether you realize it or not?
Oh yeah, I
Okay.
do.
So,
But
the minute
the
you go to
problem is because
sleep,
I'm not
your consciousness
practicing.
goes out, right? So it's
Yeah,
just a matter of you remembering, right?
that's right. Yeah.
Okay.
But
Um,
that takes energy.
yeah.
Yeah, I found that
Especially
if
when you're tired.
I really have
If
to
I've been
focus
writing,
on
I'm
it.
so tired. And if I'm so tired after writing, I think I just want a good night's sleep. And when I'm practicing, it's like, okay, I'm going to try and wake up at 5 a.m, or you're thinking about it, and you're asking questions, and you're putting your notes under the pillow, and these are all part of the processing of mind conditioning. And once you start it, you don't need to do it. But I mean, it takes a bit of kickstarting again, which I intend doing. At the moment, I'll just take the spontaneous OBEs, and I'll get some sleep, you know.
Yeah.
Um, And maybe it's a sign of old age. I don't know. I need more sleep.
No, there's a lot in the airwaves coming on around us.
Yeah.
The last
Yeah.
time we talked, one of the things that I asked you about was when you OBE, getting asking questions. In other words, your intention is to be getting specific answers to things you want to know the answers to. Have you been doing that?
Yes, but the problem is now, because I can't be bothered getting up and writing it down in me diary, by the time the morning comes, a lot of the time I forgot the answer to the questions.
Oh, do you have a tape recorder? You could
Well,
talk
I
to the tape
do.
recorder, put it in the bed with you, leave it
I think,
where you
do
just
you know
push
what
the
it is,
button.
Dolly? What I've done, I've said to Spirit, and I said, I'm just giving myself until the second book's done, and I'm back. But I
Oh,
can't. It's so tiring doing the writing, and I
okay.
need
So
to get
you
this
just
done.
locked and loaded this, and that's where you're going to be.
That's it. That's where I'm
Okay.
at. I'm locked and loaded on this, and I
Okay.
think once I just want to get. I really want to just get back to it, really. But I know to get back into it, it takes a bit of process, and then I start remembering everything. I do remember some of the messages, and
Yeah.
But they said they are trying. It's not them. It's me. They're still there. The
Well,
guides are still
see,
there.
one of the things I'm curious about this process is that if you're operating fully 100% like you should be, wouldn't that aid you in writing the book?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've seen the book. I mean, they shown me the pages of the book and what to write
Yeah.
and stuff. They've given a lot of direction within the book.
Okay.
I've seen the
Yeah.
book before it's writ.
Yeah.
I've seen all the
I've had
pages.
that experience. It's really interesting, isn't it?
So they are giving me advice on what. I mean, I had a message. Was it not last night, the night before, telling me what not to write? They said, "Don't write about that." So I am getting advice, but not as good as I was because of the fatigue. But I'll get back there. I mean, everything is all a process, and this is what they want me to do now. Because I don't know whether I mentioned they told me to write the book. I'm actually doing what they told me to do. So it was but the good news is one of the things when I attend the spirit circle, my clairvoyance is still pretty good. I was in the circle on Monday. I'm still seeing a lot of spirits, and I'm still getting messages and things, and a lot of visual stuff. So that's still there, and that's probably improved. And so I'm looking at doing a remote viewing course as well as soon as I finish this. So I want to go to the Monroe Institute, but for £2,500, I can't quite afford that. So that's what it costs. So
Where is the institute?
It's in Virginia.
Yeah.
Oh, so you come here. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Joe McMoneagle, is it McMoneagle or McGonigal? He's one of the old Stargate viewers, and he's taken the program. He currently does the program at the Monroe. But like I say, that kind of price tag, I don't know if I could just. I mean, I can't afford it, obviously.
And that would be specifically for remote viewing?
Yeah, it's only a 5-day course for that price.
Have you ever looked up Russell Targ? He does free tapes online. You should listen to them.
Yeah, I mean, I've done one of the chapters or half a chapter on remote viewing, and on the new book, and I've gone into Targ and Pat Price and Ingo Swan and the objects they viewed on the moon. I mean, did you know they were both Scientologists, Swan and
yeah, I know. I find that
Price.
I'm not going to tell you how I feel about that.
No, you don't need to go there. I mean, for me, I don't judge people on those kind of things. And I know you don't either, but for me, it's interesting by the fact that one of the chapters in the book with Scientology, they have what they call a theton, and the theton is an extraterrestrial, is alleged that inhabit the body. So when they have their OBEs, they call it exteriorization. So when they exteriorize, they're allowing the extraterrestrial to leave the body and be in its natural realm. This is all written by Ron Hubbard, by the way. Now I don't know if you know about Ron Hubbard, but there's we can go there, but maybe we won't.
But I want to go there for 1 second. Ron Hubbard was a great science fiction writer, and you can't live science fiction. And that's what I'm going to say about it.
Yeah.
Okay. I want you to seriously consider what that means. It's science fiction. Okay.
But not so much. Did you know that Ron Hubbard was good friends with Jack Parsons? And I don't know if you know, but Jack Parsons.
Knew Ron Hubbard as well.
But Jack Parsons, who was one of the most famous rocket engineers.
Yeah, yeah.
He more or less started JPL. I think it was the JPL, the Jet Propulsion Laboratory for NASA.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
He's a very intelligent man.
All good science fiction authors have a base of science under them to let their imaginations run wild.
Well,
And
I'm
it's
going
not
somewhere
all,
with this,
it's all
Dolly.
theory.
I'm going somewhere with this.
Right.
So Parsons and Hubbard. So Parsons is America's most famous rocket scientist, and Hubbard has probably started one of the world's most controversial religions. So he said, maybe, I don't know. But they both lived in the same house for a time called the parsonage, and they were both out in the desert doing rituals. Right, and this was at the time of the Roswell incident. So there's a part of ufology that seems to think like they were responsible for Roswell. Now I know this sounds don't shoot the messenger. I'm just telling you. But
no,
I just
someone needs to get shot.
I put this in one of the chapters because I found it so crazy that we had them two men out there in the desert doing rituals. But it goes a bit more. Well, I've gone there in the book, but I'm not going to say it on here, because it was a form of sexual magic that went on.
Yeah, you know what cultism is, right? Cult.
Of course.
Well,
of course.
Scientology is a cult, 100% a cult. They control their people, and they have to behave a certain way to remain in the cult. And they have watchers over everybody in the cult to make sure that they conform. This is not free base. They are not free. They are enslaved in this cult. They have no actionable autonomy in it whatsoever. And the more you hear about it and the more you learn about it, the more you realize that, yep, it's not a good thing.
But for the purpose of the psychic abilities, I find it really interesting that two of the most prominent remote viewers in history have come from the Scientology community. So, I mean, I don't know what they do in Scientology.
I would worry about that a lot. I would worry about that. I would challenge that in any day. I would challenge that because a lot of
both OT level
is inaccurate and untrue and unprovable. That's the problem with that.
No, they were both OT level Scientologists.
I don't care. So, it has nothing to do with nothing. They have not proven a single thing they've said. These prominent remote viewers have said a lot, okay? And it's unprovable and it's not true. And the only proof, and the only reason you don't know what's on the backside of the moon by video or photography from NASA is because they know this. They know what's on the backside of that moon.
Of course they do.
They've mapped it out. And it does not match a single solitary thing any one of their remote viewers have said. They are lying.
Right.
That's the problem with this. This is what I mean about empirical data and telling the truth.
Yeah.
You are being swindled to control how you think about this subject through these people who have no proof, won't show you any proof. They lie. They push.
Well, that's one of the problems with remote viewing, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, you can remote view something that you can verify, but if you're remote viewing another planet that you can't actually go to, it's hard to verify.
I think that's why they tend to use 5 or 6 remote viewers to do one viewing. So then obviously if there's a correlation and what the multiple people have said, and then they'll look at it. But like you say, how can we know what Ingo Swann said? I mean, I'll be honest, I've not truly read his book, but I just found it. I pick up on little things like that, and I found it quite interesting,
So as far as going to the Robert Monroe Institute, you could probably teach there, Jed.
Yeah, I know.
And maybe that would pay your way.
That's the point. You already have the experience and the know-how on your own.
Yeah, I think you probably could do this self-taught.
But I wouldn't be going to do the OBE course, obviously. But I would like, that'd be a bit of a waste of time for me. Although I wouldn't mind using the machines, because some of the machines they have there, quite the sound sort of machines, the pods. They have pods. They're quite interesting.
You want to know how to remote view? I'm an expert.
I didn't like it.
Yeah. Here's how you remote view. I'm an expert at it. Okay, expert. And the only way you can teach remote viewing, listen to me, it's too easy. There's nothing complicated about this.
Well, I'm already doing it. This is the problem.
So you do it on your own. The only person you can convince, the only person you can convince is remote viewing is you.
Yeah.
Okay. So what you do is you get 4 friends from around the world, who can verify or deny by video, actual showing you that you're correct, and they give you a target, and you have to go see that target and see what's there that day, and write
I
it all
need some
down, draw
targets,
it out,
Dolly.
and then, well, or you do it
I
in
need-
your own hometown with people, family, and friends. All right, you pick
Yeah.
targets that you can remote, that you can verify within an hour of that remote view. Okay.
Yeah.
And you do that until you expressly become so good at it, you can go anywhere and remote anything with the knowledge that you're doing it right. But when you do remote view, you must verify every target you remote view. That's what I was taught by ET. Okay, you don't play at this. This is your mind is capable of dreaming up all kinds of stuff, and the only remote view that's good is one that's verifiable. That's the problem with remote viewing. Okay. And I have lots of people saying, well, I remoted this and this is going on and this is going on. And I'm like, prove it.
You need proof.
Show me the proof. Right.
It's the same thing with mediumship. You know, you need, we call it, is it, there's a term for it where you got to provide some kind of evidential proof. So yeah, you know, but it's just something I'm interested in, but I won't be paying that kind of, I'd like to do it, but I just need a bit of structure to give me some targets, really. I'd like to, because I go to the group and I'm getting all kinds of visions, and I could do with a bit of structure, and someone say, hey, I thought about asking somebody, saying, will you put something in that envelope for me? And I'm, you know, a bit of structure.
You don't need an envelope. See, that's the problem. This is too many controls.
Yeah.
When it's actually that easy to do without all of that stuff. Okay. Even Russell Target wasn't a real target person at all. Okay. Basically, you need another human being who can verify or deny, or a group of people. Three verifying is better than one. Right. And
I think I need to start my own remote viewing group up and get
you should. There you go.
I like that idea.
One another. Psychic ability starts with us. We can all do this. But you have to be willing to do the work yourself to do it.
But do you find it interesting though, Dolly, that remote viewing is seen as part of you, and you probably disagree, but it's an okay subject within ufology. But once you start going down, well,
it's because
I don't really know why, to be quite honest.
I can tell you why. It's because they're back engineering craft, and they know that it's flown psychically, and they know that remote viewing is 99.99999% of an ability that you have to pilot these things. And they're
But they don't like us calling it psychic ability. Well, you don't mind the word psychic. You don't like the word mediumship, and you don't like the word spirit, but they don't mind psychic or remote viewing.
Right.
If you've not found that with ufology, there's a certain set of topics that are okay. For example, the Islamic jinn, they're okay now, they're part of ufology, but we can't talk about them. It's like ufology is just found in its own way and its own terminology.
Yeah, well, the military industrial complex global is controlling the rhetoric. That's exactly right. And if you start speaking absolute truth, they're going to try to knock you down. That's why it's not ufology anymore, it's UAP studies.
Exactly. Yeah, they changed that already.
I mean, it's like a dog and pony show that we're all starting to fall in line with, and we need to shut them up and tell them.
Well, I mean, there's a whole lot of disinformation because now we have people who are doing remote viewing and speaking with, you know, their authority. And they're talking about like 3-Eye Atlas. I'm like, oh, I've remote viewed it.
No.
Things that are.
Oh, that was so annoying watching that. It was
it's still happening.
Lost patience with it.
Oh no, there's still people who are still talking about 3-Eye Atlas like it's turning around and coming back for us. I'm not going to.
And so some of these remote viewers have lost, in my mind, credibility for the things they're saying about 3-Eye Atlas. And you're seeing that all over. So let's shift, if we may, to the movie Age of Disclosure. Dolly and I talked about. We just did a Q&A episode last week. So we kind of already said our piece on it. But I'm interested in what you, because you saw it, right?
I did. I've watched it twice. I paid £28 for it or something like that.
No,
I wanted to put it in the chapter, didn't I? I thought there may be information there, and so two of the chapters. One about the technical side to UFOs, because I've done a chapter called the Legacy Program, and I've done a chapter called Alien Reproduction Vehicles. You know, I thought I better, you know, if it's going to be an all-round book, I'll have to include it. So I had to watch it, and I had to get a few things from Eric Davis and some of the technical. But I think Hal Puthoff spoke about it as well, didn't he? The bubble around the craft, the sphere of influence, and the, you know, and how it works. And Elizondo had a few things to say about that as well. So yeah, the technical aspects of the reproduction vehicle, which are different to the actual real vehicles. This is the difference. So, because I've got a chapter called the Sky Pilot, which, well, I haven't spoke to Grant Cameron. If he doesn't let me use the word Sky Pilot, because that was one of his books, I don't think he'll have a problem with it. I'll just call it Flying the Craft or something.
No, you can't copyright a title. There's been lawsuits about it.
No, it's only a chapter called the Sky Pilot.
Yeah,
but
I mean, you're allowed to use that term.
How about UFO driver? That's what it is.
No, I don't like that.
You don't
I was
like
going to
that?
call
Wow.
it Flying the Craft, mean? You know what I mean? That sounds okay, doesn't it?
Okay.
It's only a chapter. But, I mean, I've included a few people who have flown the craft in the chapter. I spoke a bit about Grant's work with his book, because he had some interesting things. And then the bottom part of the chapter, I've gone into the technical aspects of the craft and the sphere of influence. And when you enter the sphere of influence, like Jim Penniston in the Rendlesham craft, he walked into the sphere. And Burroughs was on the outside of the sphere, and there's a time dilation, and the slowing down of time and the Oz factor, as they say, in the sphere. So I found it quite fascinating. But is the sphere around the reproduction vehicles? So there's things that there's dangers going near these vehicles, and we know people who've been injured, don't we? So it's something you're trying to make out the difference between an ARV and a genuine craft,
right?
But this is at Norton Air Force Base, and
that's a back-engineered vehicle that is not a real UFO.
That is, yeah,
exactly.
But funnily enough, I think that was in '88. But the Cash Landrum was
they go all the way back to the early '60s, late '50s.
Well, that was at Norton. I'm trying to think. Brian Gilland, was it? I'm trying to think of the guy who walked in and seen that craft. He reckons he got lost off the Air Force Base, and he walked into the hangar and seen this. A general was delivering a briefing on the craft. But again, it's part of UFO lore, isn't it? We don't know, did it really happen? Didn't it happen? I mean, he seemed quite confident about what he said about it. And that was at Norton Air Force Base, 1988. But when you think of the Cash Landrum, I've done a little picture of the Cash Landrum craft there. I don't know if you can. Yeah, that's one of my illustrations.
Bring it up.
There we go.
I think it was that 1980, the Cash Landrum.
1981, I think it was.
Yeah.
That's not a real UFO either.
No.
It's one of their experimental
They
models.
even spotted how many CH-47 helicopters there was around it.
Yeah, of course they would. They're protecting it. That's why.
Well, I was thinking, could that have been that? It was called the Flux Liner, the one at Norton Air Force Base.
Yeah, I guarantee you, if I had a pretty big, mortar, and I shot it at that, it would destroy it. That's how back engineered that is. They had support around them. Yeah.
But the way I've gone in the chapter, because we started with the Magenta crash of 33 in Italy, and this is what David Grush spoke about. So this is in 33, the Magenta crash. Now, they reckon from the reports there was 2 blonde males that were took out of that craft. They were deceased. So shortly after that, we had what was known as the die glock, the bell. Okay, and this isn't a proven thing, this die glock, and that was in like 44, 45. They reckon that came back to the States. Were they one and the same? Were they the same craft? Because surely, if Mussolini would have had the Magenta crash in 33, and all of a sudden the Germans have got a craft in 44, there seems to be some kind of crossover with that. So
just in the ergonomics of what it looks like, the Diagloft is weighs so much that it took a giant crane to lift it. It's that heavy. It's not made with the kind of metal that any craft ET is made out of, and then the ones that were back engineering aren't even that heavy either. Okay, they had no ability then to go anti-grav. All right, they were working on it. They had small little representations of it, but nothing that big. And the Germans were trying to terrify everybody at that time and make them think they were doing things they were not. They were trying, but they didn't have the technology. We don't have the technology to reproduce an ET craft fully.
But wouldn't Mussolini, if the 33 Magenta crash was in fact what they say it was and what David Grush says it was, would that not have transferred to another Axis power? I mean, is it possible? Is it feasible that James would have got the hands on that tech?
You want to know something? It wouldn't have mattered, because we already had the ability. The military-industrial complex already had worldwide control at that time, and the reason we won the war the way we did worldwide is because of that. Because their communication was already linked up to it. They had people infiltrated into every country they needed to. It's much bigger than you absolutely understand or realize. Okay, because it wasn't firepower that won that war; it was intelligence, and it was the military-industrial complex that did it. And they were where they needed to be when they needed to be to stop it. But they wanted control over everything, everyone, and everybody, and they absolutely achieved it. Eisenhower warned everybody about it. He absolutely understood what had happened, and nobody listened. Nobody listened. So now we've got a world full of people who have been strategically placed worldwide. There are places in every country on this globe that are part of the global axis of the military-industrial complex who have been working on back engineering. We're not the only ones to do that. Yes, back then, even the French were working on it as late as 1938. I found paperwork on it that showed it to Preston. Absolutely, they were working on it. So,
but this is in 54, a Holloman Air Force Base.
Yeah.
This illustration here,
or Edwards Air Force Base, is the same. It's the same base, but yeah, that's an illustration.
Misinformation and disinformation, right there. It's not true.
It is because I mean, allegedly, it was Nordics that he first met. And then apparently, this is where the disinformation goes. Allegedly, he met Greys and done a deal with the Greys.
Are you talking about Eisenhower?
Yes.
That was 54.
Yeah, that's what he just said.
Okay, 1954. And he was, nobody landed. They brought him up. They had nobody could stop them. They brought him off. They took 2 people with them. There were only 3 human beings on that craft, and they took them. And they went off.
That was the first landing.
No, that's the only one. Everything else is a lie. It's made up.
I agree.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, Dolly.
Because,
and he's not the only one worldwide that this happened to. It happened to a Russian leader, an English leader that you don't know about. Happened in Norway. I'm not kidding you. Worldwide, there were 7 world leaders that were picked up.
So you come in. This will help with what I'm writing, because you believe then that the 54 crash with the 3 Nordics, so the meeting with the 3 Nordics occurred.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
they were on board. On board the craft.
Then that they agreed that the meeting with the Greys, which was supposedly a few months or a few years later, did not occur.
No, it did not happen. Not at all.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, I'm stipulated in my writing that this is part of the lore of it, the folklore side of ufology, because that's how it happens, isn't it? People get onto a story and you build it. But so I've gone with what you said. About the 3 Nordics, how one of them stayed on the craft, 2 of them came out the craft.
That's right.
But I think it was Holloman Air Force Base, but was it Edwards Air Force Base?
No, is it Edwards?
Edwards, absolutely.
I think they're the same base. I think they changed names.
No, Edwards has always been Edwards. Holloman's always been Holloman.
Edwards was Muroc at some point. I think it was
way back.
When he had the dentist appointment, and he was taken off for the dentist appointment. And because I wasn't going to go with the grey bit, but you think, well, I don't know. It's this is what people want to believe. I might adjust that. I don't know. But anyway, it's a funny image anyway. But I'll swap it over to the Nordics. I'll put the Nordic one in instead. But it's interesting because I didn't know what you guys thought.
Nordics are very powerful beings. They can absolutely stop you from touching them if they want. If they don't want to be touched, they won't be. And the reason it was Nordics was for that reason, because they have absolute mind control, and nobody that was surrounding them or walking with them or talking to them or trying to talk to them was going to get through to them. They were static. In other words, they were waiting for it to come back, for him to come back. And they only wanted to know one thing. They were trying to explain to Eisenhower and all those other world leaders that they were going in a direction that they need not go. And if they continued to do it, the military industrial complex, and they explained it to him then. It explained to him how out of control this was already then. And they told him point blank, and they asked him a question. Why don't you think you can stop this? Why can't you help us to convince people? Because they were looking for one of them to open their mouth and go against what was being said by the military industrial complex. That's what they wanted. And right out of the Howard's mouth, straight to their face, he said, I have absolutely no say, no control. There's nothing I can do for you. And so did those other world leaders. It was already a done deal.
Which is kind of scary when you think about it.
It is out of control. It's a loose horse, as they say.
You always think of the president as being the one in power.
No,
really.
No. And that's I mean, I think that is some truth that's taken from the new documentary. I think it does show that they haven't got any control. You know, I know they spun a threat narrative, and I know people are quite shocked about how they spun this threat narrative, but that's just their way, isn't it? I didn't expect any different from the movie, and the Disclosure movie, the Age of Disclosure.
That's my main complaint.
Isn't it? We knew where it was, but like I say, I've took a few things from it, but I think it's made clear there that the Congress and President are not in on it.
That's literally when ET decided that they were going to change their path to humanity and disclosure, and they were going to go straight to us after that. In other words, it was becoming more and more imperative to them to make disclosure personal for everybody on this planet. And that's why it amped the way it did. Okay. More people started seeing them. They started showing themselves more often. They started making contact with everyday people just like you and me for that reason. And it wasn't just the only reason they did that, but it was just time. They knew that these people were lost. They were gone puppies, and they were so invested and locked into what they're going to do that there was no changing them. And and I'm telling you, the only way it doesn't matter whether we can change them or not at this point. Literally, we have to change ourselves. That's what they want us to think about. You know?
Yeah, I mean, the only way it's going to come is from us. But that's one of the things. If you believe that the craft are there, like they said, then they're going to be communicating with the people, which we know they are. You know.
Yeah, they have them. Yes.
So it's like most of my experience are all non-physical, and there's a crossover between physical and non-physical, and that's going back to this guy flying the craft chapter, whatever I decide to call it, does cover that element of the non-physical element of the contact.
Did you get a chance to sit aboard?
I flew the craft.
Okay. I want to hear about it. Describe it.
Well, like most people, see, my head hit the pillow. I went to bed, and I no sooner touched the pillow, and I was there. It was it's what we call a V2 virtual reality. That's one of the things that Joseph Birks has referred to. And it's quite interesting how he's described the virtual reality. So you just they generate the experience. So I've got one of the pictures there, Preston. Can you get that up? It's there's a lady and there's a craft. It'll be on the first group of pictures I sent you. So this is where I was when I found myself within this experience, and I was as alert as I am with you right now. Which, well, you could say I'm not very, but if you can find the picture,
I'm not sure which one it is. Can you give me a little more?
It's a flying saucer. And there's a lady. Can't miss it.
Okay, I think this might be it.
Yeah, but anyway, she called me forward. Yeah, so that's me in my pajamas, which I don't actually wear pajamas, but I'm not going to put a picture of me in my boxer shorts, am I? So anyway, there was a group there, and she called me forward, just like in the image there. It took me a while to generate that image, and she was really friendly, and she told me to follow her. So we went up. And we went on board the craft as a group. And then one of the people in the group, that's probably about the size of the group, walked over and he placed his hand on the panel, and the craft took off, and then the craft landed. And I knew prior to the experience, I've been getting a lot of symbology of symbols coming through to me in the night. And for some reason, I knew that I had to remember these symbols. So I asked if I could have a go at flying the craft, and she called me over, and I placed my hand on the panel, Now, bearing in mind that other people have reported placing their hand on balls, it doesn't really matter for the experience, because what they're ascertaining is, this is part of the experiment extraterrestrial. Can your mind do what they want it to do and communicate and control the tech? It's non-physical, the tech.
You're being tested. That's what you're being done.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes, you're on the nail with that. So anyway, I put my hand on the panel, and I concentrated on the symbols, and I could see the symbols in my mind's eye. So they weren't actually on the panel, but that's the best I could do, and that's probably how many symbols there was. And all of a sudden, I felt this symbolic. Is it symbiotic? As it is the term for you, but I felt oneness with this craft. I felt static in my body, and I could suddenly see for miles around,
Right.
360 degrees
You're
for
nailing it.
miles.
Yep.
Like I could see a pin at a mile away. I was tuned into this energy of this craft. And I don't know why I decided to lift off. I went up about, half a mile or something, not that high. I spun the craft around, and I thought if I'd wanted to, I could have moved and gone elsewhere, but I decided to land the craft, and I'd done well. Like people were pleased. There was a round of applause to do it. And the next part of the experience, I found myself in an office next to the hangar. I sat on the sofa, and there was two in the red uniforms talking. And on the corner, I seen a spirit guide who I'd received messages off, and I'd had communication. And he walked over to me, and I remember saying, "Come closer, friend. Do not be afraid." Because at this time, I wasn't afraid of anything, really.
Right. Yep.
And that's what you need to have, that lack of fear.
Yep.
And he walked over, and he placed his hand on my head, and he flooded me with the serenity, a oneness of the universe, all those things which you know about. And I just, the feeling, and that was a connection made between me but Grant Cameron speaks a lot about, a lot of people have the experience, there's a guide present, usually over the left shoulder, sometimes on the craft. So it's a spiritual experience, as well as the whole thing. You're being tested. They want to know, can you integrate with the technology, if it is technology, whatever it is. And I think that's what it's to do with. So it doesn't matter if you place your hand on them, wherever.
Right.
That's what it is.
It's light technology, and they test everybody. I'm not joking around. They're looking for pilots. Okay.
Yeah.
Funny thing, the fact that you did as well as you did is amazing to me, because mostly girls do it, not boys.
Right.
Very few men.
There's a lot of pilots that I think most of the pilots in Grant's book, he's got 36 in the book, and there's now 50 that he knows, that he speaks to, and I think majority were females, and one of them actually, I think Pam Dupre's passed away now, God bless her, but she never even had a driving license. Grant found that quite funny. She can fly the craft, but she can't drive the car.
Yeah. Once you're found out to be have a proclivity toward it, then they wait for you to emotionally wake up and spiritually wake up. In other words, you have to become 100% conscious. Your consciousness has to be driving the brain. Your consciousness must be 24/7 wide awake and paired. It's like when you're pairing.
At that time, it was.
Yeah,
it was. I mean, I have digressed slightly from where I was with that.
Yeah.
But that was
you have to maintain it. Yeah. And then it takes about 4 years to learn to pilot, to genuinely sit in the seat and go with them. And it's an experience. There's a lot.
Well, the second time they called me forward onto the craft, I'll speak about this in a second, because this is my friend, my friend's experience, Jean Kamara. In fact, I'll just tell you this, and we'll go on to Jean's experience, because she wants to be in the book. But prior to the craft experience, they took me to an inner Earth base, right? And they took me physically, because they inhabited my body. I was out the body, and he came towards me, inhabited me, and took me to an inner Earth base. So a portal opened up, and we went into this portal. I was just a passenger, to be honest with you. looking at the light, the mesmerizing lights of the portal. And when we arrived, there was somebody in the red flight suit who knew me, and they showed me around the base. They showed me there was craft there too, and that was the first experience. Then there was flying the craft. But what happened after the craft was, I was having an OBE, and they said that they want to see you. That was what the message I got. And I went outside, had a fly around, and then there was the triangular craft overhead, which is another picture that you can find at Preston. And this craft overhead, this triangular shaped craft, I seen it above me, and I refused to go, which I regret now.
I wouldn't regret that. That was the wrong one to get on. That is my lab. That is a my lab craft.
Would it be this one?
Yeah, that's a TR3B.
No,
it is absolutely back engineered.
That's not the picture. It's above the house. If you go back, it's above the house. Well, it was triangular.
Was it black?
Yes, but they trapped me in a beam of light. I was having an OBE, and a beam of light.
Yeah, that's my lab experience. Yeah,
and it trapped me.
Lab. Yeah,
and
that's absolutely my lab.
The voice came through saying they want to speak to you, and I said no, I don't feel. No, it's not that one. That was the one that comes afterwards. That's what they showed me.
Oh, here it is. I see it now.
Well, I've actually put my house. My house is actually in this picture. So, yeah,
that's an
actual copy of the house. So, I'm not saying it was exactly like that, but the beam was. I was trapped in the beam, and I said no. I said I don't feel comfortable. I'm comfortable about this. Why don't they just ask me to go on the craft? The first one was really, you know, it was different. But the way they trapped me in the beam, I wasn't comfortable about it.
Yeah, well, you're psychic enough to know when something's not right. That wasn't.
I didn't know whether I was just being a smart pants, though. You know.
No, that's a my lab. They were my labbing you. They were trying to take.
But then there was then they showed me the picture of the one with the beam shining down in the garden, and and then when they showed me that, I got a message in the spirit group saying they apologized for startling me with the beam. They meant me no harm. So I had this thing happen, and then I got a message off one of the mediums randomly, because no one knew about any of this, and they said they meant you no harm, and that's why they showed you this image, just to let you know, as a gift sort of thing, because there's a lot of correlation with this show. So I don't know, I didn't go at the end of the day. And then I got a message in the spirit group, because I'd watched a documentary with Richard Doty talking about wearing a hat. The Roswell beings wore some kind of hat to fly the craft. And the medium said, yeah, this is what Doty was saying on one of his. But you got to remember, they listen to what I'm saying, because I get a tingling on the crown and I get a buzzing in my ear, and I know they're listening. I didn't at the time, but after I've seen this video, I thought, wearing some kind of cap to fly the craft. So I attended the spirit group, and I never said anything to anyone. I don't really talk to many people about these matters anyway.
Yeah.
And one of the mediums said, tell Jed he doesn't need to wear the helmet to fly. He doesn't need to wear the helmet. He can do it with mind alone. Tell Jed he can do it with mind alone. He doesn't need to wear the helmet. So, in my experience, I'm getting messages that are matching up with the stuff that I'm doing. They knew I'd watched that video about Doty saying, where
it's like
they're telling me, they're correcting me.
Right. When people come at me that are not okay, when I'm getting messages from the wrong side, my people who I'm in contact with immediately shut it down and say, no, don't listen to that. Wrong.
What?
Don't go there.
One of the things is, where I say that they are monitoring.
Oh,
there's a picture there of a blue guy, a blue guy. If you can find him, I don't know if you will. Paul Preston. Anyway,
well, this guy's blue.
I had an OB where I asked to go, because what I started doing is, as I was dropping out of body, I'd start asking to see the guides, take me to the guides. This is one of the things so a portal would open up, and I do a sort of backflip. Don't ask me how this happened, but I started realizing the portal happened behind my head. Sometimes they had hands coming through, grabbing my hair and things, and I was taken by the hand. On this occasion, I'd done the backflip into the portal, and I started to take me to the guides, and I came through into this. Well, it was like a liquid obsidian that I arrived through the portal at, and then that made into a solid floor. And I looked up and I'd seen this royal palace, and through the doors further down, I could see a blue entity in bed. And I thought, what's going on here? You know, I thought, he doesn't even know I'm here. So I sort of hovered through towards where these double doors were, and it's all gold. You can see a bit of the gold on the headboard. It was a very royal place. By this time, this entity who we see in this image was up speaking to me. Now he looks a bit feminine here. He didn't look. He was. That's the best I could do. He was. He had blue eyes, and that's quite close. And he said to me that he'd been monitoring some of the things I've been watching. You know, he was discussing how he'd been seen, and I said, "So you've been monitoring the things that I'm doing?" He said, "Yeah." And I said, "Listen, about my development." I said, "You need to up your game." I said, "You need." I was sort of having a go with him, saying, "You need to," but I felt really bad about it afterwards. And he said to me, "I'm doing my best." I thought, "Oh, well, okay." But he was really friendly. But I always laugh. I mean, it's quite funny, really. I'm having a go at him, saying, "You need to up your game here." You know, and it's me that's not doing enough. But anyway, it was one of them experiences. But he was blue like that. I thought, what is going on here? You know. But I was told that they generally change their images to whoever suits the experience. So that's what they said to me. They said, because I've been telling people about the different entities. And then I got the message that night saying, you know, just to correct you, we choose the image by what lesson is needed at the time, more or less. So really speaking, I don't know, you know, is that what it was
You
real?
do. That's a fifth dimensional being that can present any way that makes you comfortable. A lot is like that.
The way I see it for me now, you know, there is a higher entity that's connected to me, and he can alter. It's the evolution, like we said in the beginning, is the important thing. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But you know, but if I go back to Jean's experience, I speak to Jean quite a lot. She's she's in Pennsylvania, Jean, and but she's one of Grant's sky pilots, and I didn't even know that she was. I said, and she said, "Oh yeah, I flew the craft." I said, "Really? Okay." You know, and I said, and then she contacted Grant, and then next thing she was in his book flying the craft as well. But her experience, now it's this bit, like she's seen Saint Germain. What happened? She went to Sedona to a park. What's it called? It's a Bunyan Canyon or something. I can't remember the name of the place.
That's right, Boynton Canyon.
Cockatoo Park, is it something like that, or National Park? Coco something.
I know Boynton Canyon. I don't know the other one.
It was Boynton Canyon in Sedona.
Coachella?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Yeah,
it's Coachella. Yeah.
Yeah, but she was camping with a friend, Rita and Pat, and they went to sleep at 11. And the next thing she knew, she was facing the craft, and Saint Germain invited them on the craft. So if you could get that image
up,
Saint Germain. Saint Germain.
How did she know it was Saint Germain?
Because she was into Saint Germain. You know, this is where we're going.
Okay.
Whatever the entities were, she's quite open to the fact that the entities. So that the lady with the black hair, that's Jean, and the lady with the blonde hair, that's Rita, and that's Saint Germain in the middle. Now, if you see an image of Saint Germain, this is probably a good-looking version of Saint Germain in modern things. But they made them put these blue suits on, which had bolts of lightning shooting around them. So the suits were like I don't know what's a word for it, but they were connected to the body. And the flight crew were probably Nordic looking, pretty human looking, and they wore the same blue suits. And he offered them, "Would you like to fly the craft?" And it was about concentrating on the mind. He pressed buttons and he went forward in time, into the past and wherever. They asked to go and see other planets, and that's where they went. But she explains the process of concentration. And I think it's the same for any of the sky pilots flying the craft. It's about concentrating on where you need to go, and that's how it happens. So after the experience, they found themselves back in the tent. They took them back to the tent. They remember being taken back. And then they woke up. And both of them collaborated the story, both Rita and Jean. And they looked out of the window of the tent and they seen the craft.
Wow.
And this is the bit where it's gifted to you. So you have the experience non-physically. But then, because I think they prefer giving you to it non-physically, because they don't really want to, you know, terrify us, or they're quite careful how they handle us, I think. But they let them see the craft depart. So, I mean, Preston, with your book, Onboard UFO Encounters, I mean, is there anyone who describes seeing the craft afterwards? I mean, as a sort of, because I know from what I've gathered from Steve Meara, because he's very knowledgeable, he estimates that only 4% of encounters are actually physical. A lot of them come through regression. So, you know, maybe they are physical, but you've had to be regressed to receive the information. But I think I've heard stories before where people report seeing the craft even after the abduction or whatever the contact experience.
It's not unusual to see it before and afterwards.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I agree with that assessment, honestly, because I do think this is a physical experiment.
No, it's 100%. If you're on board, it's physical. I have 40 years of picking people up. I am a pilot. I am a pilot, trained pilot. 24/7, I am awake and aware, and I know exactly what I did all 40 years. Okay. I've met millions of people. Well, not millions, thousands easily. Whether you remember it or not.
Think there are?
How many what?
Pilots.
My generation, the one that I know that were from all over our particular galaxies, 40,000 that were trained during my training. 40,000.
And others who've gotten to try it. No, they might not necessarily be regular trained pilots,
right.
but
they're looking for pilots, right? But they'll let you sit in a seat. They're trying everybody out. You have to reach a certain level of ability to be able to fly with them. You have to be physically ready, morally ready, spiritually ready. You have to be psychically ready, mentally, all of it. And your education level has to be pretty high. Okay.
Right.
You have to have a pretty high IQ, and you have to have a lot of base knowledge.
That's me counting them.
But I do think it's physical. I really do, because, you know, there's a guy in England I interviewed. He was missing from his room. His mom could not find him. There was a kid in Louisiana. Yeah, his parents like, where were you?
I think
we've been looking for you.
I think Chris Bledsoe was gone for 4.5 hours when he had his experience, and I think he thinks he states it was Egypt he went to. So yeah, he was missing as well.
Yeah, so it is a physical thing. Whether we remember it or not, or time is conflating for us one way or the other, they can bring you back within minutes. You could be gone with them for hours, and they bring you back within 5 minutes of you leaving.
So I felt I was physical, but I don't, you know, because I'm used to OBE. Sometimes I don't know. Maybe it was. I don't know. You know, all I know is I went upstairs, closed me, and that was it. I was taken on the craft, and it all happened, and.
But, you know what I did when I was a child, when I convinced myself that it was real? I was really young. I was about 7 years old, and I was on board, and I was going to go eat something. Okay. And the food that I was given was food that they wanted me to eat. I didn't have any earth food with me at all. Okay. And I went and ate, and I took a handful of it. Okay. And I smashed the table in front of me with it, and it gished between my fingers, and I moved my fingers all through it, and I picked it up, and I threw it up in the air again, and I smashed it down again. Now everybody's watching me do this. And then I licked my finger, and I bit my finger, and it hurt like hell. Okay. Like I knew I physically been bit. You couldn't do that in a dream. And when I did that, I realized, I'm actually here. Okay.
And there's a lot of people with marks on the body. I spoke to Steve about this last week. There's a lot of people who have marks on the body, you know, after certain things. So, you know, I don't claim to have all the answers, but you know, I'm just glad that I had the experience. It's a good chapter, actually. Like I say, the book's balanced, and the chapter after that, where we go on to the greys and abductions, that's slightly a dark chapter, but it doesn't have to be. You know, it didn't have to be that way. But no, but I've had a few experiences with the greys, and none of them were negative experiences. I mean, the first experience I had was in probably was it just before the craft experience. I woke up during the night and I seen a grey in the bedroom, and I did a picture of it with a portal. It'd be one of the early pictures, Preston, on the first batch I give you. But it was a brief sighting about 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
And he jumped into a hole in the air, a portal, which I now know. And I remember looking back and seeing Margaret asleep. I thought, have I just seen that?
Yeah, it's an interdimensional doorway. It's a light gate. Yeah.
But this was the first being I ever seen.
Yeah.
And I thought, what the heck's going on here? And I remember turning over and going back to sleep and thought, oh, maybe. I had seen greys before, years before. And if you start thinking about, and you think if you would have started seeing them, maybe after you'd read about them, but I hadn't been reading about them at the time.
Do you know what I tell people when they're young and they ask me? I say, if you see something like that, immediately ask it a question. Do not hesitate.
He didn't want me to see him. He as soon as he seen me
the
looking.
Minute you see a grey like that, you ask it a question because it is compelled to answer you. That makes it real for you. It's not a dream anymore. It's the real deal. We have to not be afraid.
When you mention compelled, that's something I'll come on to in a second. But sorry to interrupt you.
Okay, sorry. No, I interrupted you. Thank you, though.
No, okay. But
so what is this picture? Is that related to this one?
Well, that was the second experience. That was the second experience with the grey.
Light
so
gate. There you go.
I'm out of the body now. Afternoon OBE. But I forgot to put the picture of my body underneath that body, which so, we'll have to do that again. But I asked the guards to show themselves to me, so I'd summoned in a way, and that's what I seen, like a portal opened up, and he kept his distance. He stayed in the light there and waved, and I could see beings moving around, and I was focusing on it. It was like a clairvoyant image, really. I mean, it was like a hole, like a portal I was looking at.
It's a light gate. They're literally they're an interdimensional light gate. That's what that is. Yeah.
Light gate. Yeah, but I just thought that. But yeah, I love that term. I'll use that again. That's going in the book. Thanks, Dolly.
You're welcome.
Light gate.
You have permission because that's why we call this the light gate.
Oh yeah, I never even
permission.
thought.
You have absolute permission to use it. Yeah.
Thank you. So that was the second, and the third one was probably in 2023 actually. And again, I summoned them again, and it was an OBE, and he stood there for like 5 minutes while I examined the body. I actually checked his fingers, checked his, and God bless him. I didn't have any communication with him at all. I just visually checked him and looked around the body, and then I got a message to get black onyx and drink lemon juice.
That's perfect. You know why? Did you figure it out?
Well, I started thinking, because I've touched him, and if the energy's gone through to the physical, and I had electric shocks all week after that. Every time I touched the door handle, and I knew because I'd made contact with the entity, non-physically maybe, but
no, that was physical. You had physical contact.
Well,
yeah, you had physical contact. Black onyx is like silver. Okay, it has any bacterial properties about it when you put it with certain other things, and that was to keep you free of any passing of germs between the two of you.
No, maybe I never have thought of that. And lemon juice is a similar cleansing.
That's
too,
right.
isn't it?
Yeah, it brings out
cleansing. And the voice that said, the voice was distinct. Get black onyx and drink lemon juice. And
very specific.
It was they can be very direct.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. Again, I've summoned the poor, and I felt guilty. I think it felt like a summoning, and he had to oblige, and that's why I come on to in one of the chapters. I call it human containers, because I'm sensing that this entity could be connected to me. This entity could have a connection to. I don't know. I mean, for sure.
You could be related. We're all related to them. You realize that, right?
Yeah.
They are progenitors.
Well, there seems to be some connection between me and that entity, and I'm not.
Well, it's a lifetime. Then he's probably been with you from the very beginning of your life, working with you.
Yeah. Well, there's a guy called Guy Stephen Needler, and he has a theory about this kind of stuff, and he messaged me and he says the entity is you're a second reincarnation, and he's a primary incarnation, and he's on the craft of where we go now. So he's my primary. So I thought, I mean, I don't know, but
that's a little bit too mumbo jumbo.
I know, but it's good to have the experience. Either way, look, it was nothing negative. So I know people
Right.
talk a lot of negative things about the Greys. So as far as I'm aware, I've never been abducted. I've never been subjected to anything negative.
Right.
Everything was positive. But then again, you know, I was operating from a positive perspective.
It has nothing to do with
So
it. Reality is reality, and your
yeah,
reality is that it's positive.
yeah.
People who see it
That's not me,
negatively
by
are
the way.
already, yeah.
No.
People who see it negatively are already trained to be negatively influenced.
Yeah.
You know, it's like people are afraid of the doctor, okay? Terrified. They're terrified of hospitals and needles
Well,
and all kinds of
the
stuff.
dentist more like.
Yeah, well, nurses in emergency rooms
Even worse.
especially. And they come in, and I'm trying to give you the best experience as a nurse, right? I'm being careful with you. I'm positive with you. I'm being
But they're
gentle
still
with you.
scared.
And they're so scared. And I have been spit on. I have been bit. I've been
Oh,
punched.
God bless.
I've been knocked to the ground. I've been
That's
hit
not
in the
good.
head. No, and it's human beings doing that to me over something as stupid
Yeah.
and silly as me wanting to help them. Okay.
Mm.
But they're already trained in their head to be afraid because they had a dad that was terrified, or a mom, or a bad experience as a very small child. They didn't know
Yeah.
what was going on.
Yeah.
And it gets bigger. Fear can get you into so much trouble mentally,
Mm.
you know,
Yeah.
thinking
Well,
about
overcoming it's a big deal, and if you can, you're blessed. So what's this picture? I'm very curious because I
Oh,
like
no.
it.
See, I developed that because when I was doing the abduction chapter, well, it's not an abduction chapter, but I had to mention it, and it's quite negative, really. But when you speak about, you know, you've got John Mack, haven't you, and you've got David Jacobs, and I know the regressionists, and they conflict with the free survey and say that, you know, it's all about alien hybrids coming to live on Earth. He's got it all figured out, but he hasn't really. But that was just a picture I thought that I'd go with the chapter, really. But
All
that's not me, by the way. I mean, if it is, I don't. I'm not. I don't, you know, maybe it really is me. But no, I've got no memory of holding an alien baby on the craft. You know.
All right.
But according to David Jacobs, that's what it's all to do with. And I mean, he's done thousands of regressions, but I don't think that when you listen to his interviews, I don't think that's what's going on. You know.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. I mean, I respect him as a researcher. He's helped to bring this subject to the forefront. But let's face it, his research is all hypnotically derived.
Yeah.
Which has some controversy to it. And it just
anybody ever got to hear the actual tapes that he can he reproduce them for anybody?
I'm sure if you
asked him, maybe.
Because my number one question about all of this is whether he's leading them into what they're coming back, whether he's being a suggestible hypnotist.
Or he's tried. He speaks about that in his interviews. He tries it from different ways.
No, that's not okay. There's only one way to hypnotize somebody and get information from them, and that's to let them bring it forth on their own. You get them comfortable, you get them into a hypnotic state, you're reminding them of the date of what they're going to try to remember, and then you let them go. You don't talk to them, you don't lead them, you don't suggest to them, nothing. That is the only clear, absolute true way.
You have to watch his interviews, but if you did, they are. I mean, it does go quite negative, you know, because he's saying there's going to be a change, and everybody will know their place. And all it's leading you down that path.
Yeah.
Right.
He doesn't agree with the free survey because he feels that the free survey, which was 4,000 people or 4,600 people, the free survey was done by, which predominantly declared that 90%, or maybe not 90, 80% of experiences were positive. You know, and we haven't got time to go into it, but he says it's a survey and he's doing physical one-to-one sessions.
No, he's leading information that he absolutely is negatively thinking about. And
I would refute that.
He wants.
Yeah,
because I have done the first-hand interviews, and that's exactly what I found is 80% to 90%.
Yeah.
Well, it can be scary initially, but ultimately the contactees don't feel like they're not here.
Yeah, over time, the contactees, even if they are scared at first, do eventually. They ask them, "Would you want it to stop?" And the answer was no. If they asked them eventually, "Would you want it to stop?" and most of them said no. So, and those were the negative ones.
Right.
So yeah, the free survey is quite important, really. I have incorporated into the book because it's quite an important thing.
It's the largest of its kind, as far as I know,
that we've done so far, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, let them bring that forth to Congress and see what they say, you know?
This is the thing, though. The Age of Disclosure movie. Not what. Well, I mean, they looked at a few military witnesses, like Mario Woods, didn't he? And he was at Ellsworth Air Force Base. I don't even know the case, but he was guarding the silos from Ellsworth. He had to go out, and so he was part of military security, guarding Air Force security, guarding the sites. And they seen a craft coming. It looked very large, and that's it. They were took from the car onto the craft, and he said the craft looked like a beehive, not a beehive, a hive. It was it was the way he describes it. There's a few things in there which indicate that it was out the body, but I don't know. The car was found 30 miles away, the truck. It's an interesting case. It's in the second half of the movie, but you'd have to watch half the movie to get to that one. And he was debriefed by Richard Doty.
So I've got a few things to say about Richard Doty too.
But he was there. I mean, I found it interesting. One of them, it was that Doty debriefed him. So a lot of people, say things with Doty. Was he there? Was he not there? But he claims that Doty debriefed him after he was involved in the panel, the investigation later back at Ellsworth Air Force Base. But there was things that interested me because he said he had an OBE in the toilets just before he was taken back to the main base, and he smelled the smell of sulfur as well, which is associated with and that's Mario Woods. That was 1977, that encounter. But it was actually, I'd already put it in the book, and then it came up on Age of Disclosure.
My lab was already in effect in the 50s.
Yeah.
And it went forward, and they could do phantasmagorical things to people. And you're describing my lab. I wish we'd all get real clear on what my lab is and the parameters of my lab. Okay.
Go ahead.
And the difference between being my lab and actually having an experience with ET. There are two separate different things. One has a very serious set of circumstances as well as the other, and none of the two mix. There's no difference. There's a difference between the two of them. And what you're describing to me is absolute my labbing. Literally. We need to admit that openly, that it's occurring. If people are warned about it, in other words, if I have a daughter, okay? When she was young, I said to her, I taught her that experience is a wonderful thing, but you must be aware during every experience you have. That's how I was taught. You have to see it as it happens. You have to think about what you're looking at. You have to see the reality of it. And you have to question everything while it's happening. Everything. Do not go stupid. Do not go dull. Do not go blind or freeze or faint. You have to understand that you need to know what the heck's going on. My labbing depends on your fear. My labbing depends on what they can inoculate you with to knock you out of the sense of reality. They can use what you inhale. They can dope you up that way. They can dope you up by injection. They can dope you up by putting something on your skin. There's multiple ways to get you into a my lab situation. And I'm telling you that there are certain people, when you say their name, my brain goes immediately, this is a my lab conspiracy. And Doty is at the top of that list for me. Literally.
Yeah, I mean, you can't, him and others who are in counterintelligence agency, and I write about this in the book, as counterintelligence agents, you really can't trust what they're saying. I mean, there's people, and he admitted it. There was a guy called, I'm trying to think of his name now, but there's a guy who committed suicide based on the information that he was being fed.
Paul
Benowitz. I couldn't remember the Benowitz name, but and that's quite sad, really. Now, I'm not saying he was directly to blame, but he was involved in feeding him this information that drove him nuts, basically, But yeah, so would you say then that how far advanced is this so the legacy program? They've got reproduction vehicles and stuff. So are they people reckon they're involved in doing their own sort of abductions and things?
They can approximate a UFO pretty much in the mind of anybody who sees it. They can go pretty fast. They can move on a dime. They have anti-grav down really, really well. They're somewhat interdimensional, not 100%. They can't bilocate yet or go through light gates yet. They don't have technology for that. But by God, they can approximate it. And if you're on board one that's operating, you feel like you've just left space-time because you're in that environment.
Right.
It is dangerous.
So pretty advanced then.
Very advanced, yes. They've back engineered
Because there
quite a
are
bit.
still people in the community that believe that they haven't been able to deal with the technology or develop the technology.
They're dead wrong. It is absolutely.
I think so.
They can,
what do you think, Preston?
Out.
Do you think they've advanced the technology to a point where they can do some of these things? I do. I think
some of
there's
it.
two schools of thought here, isn't there?
I don't think ET tech is so incredibly advanced. Most of it we're never going to be able to touch ever. But like it's
but the program have got a certain level of tech which to fool a lot of people.
Yeah,
I mean, there's talk about integrated circuits, fiber optics, Kevlar, night vision goggles, things like this being taken from Roswell, which seems like it could be plausible. You can actually track these inventions back to their source, and there are some questions about it. But as far as duplicating a craft that can travel interstellar,
no, I don't think they can do that.
Interdimensional, no, they don't have an interdimensional capabilities.
Well, and that would lead you into the next thing. Then, would they be interested in the pilots then? Because if they know there's people who've got the ability to access the real craft, or
that okay, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be dead honest with you. The reason that they are looking for, and it's mostly females, just so you know, who can remote view and are very highly psychic. That's why they're looking for women who can interface with the actual craft. But the craft is it's an entity indwelling that craft. And for as long as that craft is indwelled, that craft is operating. Okay. And they have a couple that are in that condition. All right. You have to be powerfully psychic, highly developed to do the interface. So now their big thing is chipping your brain to amp your psychic ability. They're still trying to make the connection to that craft, and they can't do it. There's no way there's no tech on this planet. There's no engineered psychic ability, psytronic ability. And psytronic is the tech, is science tech, psychic tech. All right. They can't approximate it. There's no way. That craft is not going to allow a human being under any circumstances whatsoever to take it anywhere or do anything with it under any circumstances. And they're deadlocked over it. Now there are people like me.
That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing. Like the same thing.
Who know this, who could fly the craft for them. But you want to know what's going to happen if they try to put me on board? I would take my life in my own hands by doing so, because I know that they would kill me outright, plant a bomb on it just to kill me if I took off with it, which is what I would do. I would free that craft from there.
Well, okay, then my next question then.
Okay.
I know you should be asking me, but I want to know something now.
Okay.
When we look at Skywatcher and they're supposed to be controlling bringing the craft in, there's been a lot of controversy about this within the community of C5, because they have certain psionic assets, they call them, who are calling the craft and controlling craft.
No, they cannot do that. That is a lie. 100% across the board. It is the biggest fabrication to date that I've heard them spout. The first time you've heard that, Stephen Greer said it first, and I lost my mind when I heard it, because it is false. No, cannot happen. They are so wide open psychic that they hear you thinking it before you think it. Our human brains are capable of interdimensional thought. Okay, our consciousness is interdimensional, and it's already got it going on. And so when this stupid thing starts talking, it's hearing it being said, and ET's already got a nail on you for that. They're always one step ahead of you.
Because they're claiming to hijack the.
They cannot. No, the only craft they've ever gotten was.
This is the stuff they're coming out with, though. This is the stuff they're coming out with.
It's concerning me. I actually laughed out loud when I heard that, because it's so absurd.
So you had heard it,
Not at all. They're a billion years advanced of us. Okay, billion years, not thousands, not hundreds of thousands, billion. All right, they're so psychic that if you were in the room with them and you started spouting lies in your head, they could walk into your thinking with you, mirror you, and say, look you dead in the face psychically and say, shut up. and
I
you
can
would.
believe that. I
Okay,
can believe that. They seem
there's
to be
no
so much
way
more
you could get
advanced.
away with that with an ET.
Yeah.
No way.
That was kind of my main problem with the age of disclosure. While it was interesting to see people of high caliber, supposedly,
Yeah, I mean,
talking about it seriously,
you
it
wanna-
felt so sphere-based. It felt very
was,
carefully driven in terms of steering a narrative.
Right.
They're attempting to get that narrative to get attention. That's what they want to do. But I think they fail to mention that there's a lot of people who are, connected, and they just ignored and just promoted that fear element of the
100%.
phenomenon.
They're trying to drive ET to do for them what they want them to do, and ET's not going to do it. Period. The end. And there's a reason why the government, the military industrial complex is acting the way it is and doing what it does, is that we have, existentially speaking, we're all in front of, or coming into now, a huge change in our civilization. Okay, and
you can feel it. It's happening. It's happening around us all the time.
Right.
We're
Well,
getting close to something.
Well, it's our poles are changing. We're about to experience a downed grid worldwide into the Stone Age. That's what's coming, and they know it. And then when that happens, there's about 7 or 8 years after that where our sun is going to micronova, and that's bad. And they want
that's not the good news. Give me the good news. Give me the good news first.
The good news is that it doesn't matter. You're only here for a short amount of time, right?
I know.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how you exit this classroom.
And that's one of the beauty of having so many OBEs. You do feel close to source. You feel very close to it. You don't.
It's not a big deal, right? But there's so many people afraid of even that, of not knowing the truth, that they're paralyzed with fear. It's again control. The military industrial complex wants you to be stupid. They're trying to find a way for them to survive an ET to come and pick them up when the time is right. ET is going to make a pickup. As soon as our poles change, they can come back. Okay.
Right.
They know the grid's going to go down before that happens. And they want you aware. They want your abilities working, and they want you to survive what's coming, including what the world military industrial complex is going to do worldwide. And point blank, I'm telling you the truth. It already started. They're depopulating the planet because they don't want you on top of them when all this happens, because you'll go down where they want to be. And most of us know where that is. They don't want to be fought for it. They want you gone. Okay. There's only 1% that they think should live, and it's them, not us. That's what this is. Point blank. So now
that's how it feels, isn't it?
Yeah, it is the truth. They've used religion to cause problems. They've used hate to cause problems between us. They got us fighting each other. They got us believing things that are 100% untrue. Nobody knows the truth. It's a great big giant ball of confusion. Okay. All right. And
well, that's the whole purpose of the disinformation campaign.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, they're doing a good job of it, really, aren't they? Let's face it. I mean, because a lot of people are in a terrible state.
Well, you want to know how everybody will know the truth? Stop listening to them. Get rid of all the stuff that's coming at you from them, games, TV, media, all that.
Yeah.
Start developing your abilities, like remote viewing. You should do it for yourself. Do more OBEs. Do more,
but that's it.
Morality,
you got to stay connected, haven't you?
Heal what you got to heal. Clean your body up of all the toxins you're walking around with, and get on with it. Get yourself into a state of ability and joy, so that when things start happening, and then prep for what's going to happen, because you have a decision to make. Everybody does. We're either going to physically survive this long enough to get picked up, or you're not. And it's up to you to decide which way that's going to go. If the military industrial complex people have their way, you're not going to survive it. You're gone. Bye. See ya. Woo-woo. And if otherwise, you need to be ready for them to come, and they will. And what every single person, including you, I know you have somewhere in the back of your mind a memory or a vision of the entire planet being surrounded by ET, where they come down, they land, they say, "Get on, we're out of here," and you'll go. But you have to be here for that to happen, literally. And
well, I think like yourself, you got to do the right thing, and I think as soon as this second book's done, that's me back onto the circuit doing my OBEs and stuff, and connecting again, because when you're connected, you just feel it, don't you? It's
knowing is knowing. It works. It actually, you can operate it. You can employ it. That's the whole thing. It's not. Oh, how do I put this? You have 5 senses, right? right? And you know when they're working, if you touch something, touch, you feel it, right? You taste something, you can taste it. You hear it, you hear it. You see it, you see it. Your psychic ability ramps that all up, and you go beyond the third into the fourth, fifth, and sixth dimensions. Psychically, you can go through all those spaces. And you realize that you're actually seeing, hearing, and knowing it. But for you to operate that properly, like you operate your car, because you're already operating your body, you have to practice. And you have to teach yourself now, because you didn't have somebody teach it to you when you were young. So now it's all about, what did I say earlier?
Yeah.
You have to confirm your ability. When you employ something, you confirm it, and then you use it because you know you can. And you make things happen.
Yeah. And I think this has been one of the main ET goals. This is why they're contacting people. This is why you've written this book, because this is so many people coming out and talking about this. Because if we could get to the point where we can all do astral projection, we can all do clairvoyance and precognition,
if that could happen, then if everybody could have the experiences, that we've had, it would be different. It's a game changer for everybody.
You wouldn't walk into a room and feel like you were not invited. Okay.
Or you would know if you weren't.
But this is one of the reasons, and you understand what I'm saying, why you walk into a room and you maybe you don't feel like you belong, because once you're resonating at that higher frequency, it's difficult, and that's how I feel. You just see life differently, don't you? Because you've seen, you feel it, you know it. But that's where we are, isn't it?
The volume on your ability to hear psychically, okay? It's not frequency is, everybody's got a frequency, right? I have one, you have one, Preston, the planet has one, the moon has a frequency, everything has its own frequency, like a thumbprint. But what we have is a transmitter and a receiver in our head, okay? Psychic, because your consciousness is already operating, and your physical mind is what's got to pick up the frequency. You tune into it and you turn the volume up so that you hear it. It gets louder and louder and louder until it's like we're in the room right in front of each other. You can hear it that well. You see it that well. It's like I can be in a car with somebody. This just happened to me. And I got in the car and it went 2 minutes later, and all of a sudden, like, oh God, I have to have a conversation with this person. And I don't like to scare people. I don't like to say, you're thinking this, this, and this, and this. It's rude. I don't do that to people. It scares the hell out of them. So I start a conversation with them and I say,
you feed it in slowly.
Let's talk about that. And then I walk them into the fact that I'm in their head. All right. And once I start proving that to them, they go, wow, and then they want to know. And then they'll start talking to me and telling me what's on their mind and why I'm picking up all this unbelievable energy from them and what the heck's going on. And they'll dump, and I'll go, okay. And if I have resources and I can help you, that's what I do. Okay. Imagine us being to do that with everybody all the time. Everybody doing it all the time. We would not hate each other. We would love each other. Yeah. We would care about each other. We would be invested in each other, and we would be helping each other to evolve,
That's it. And once you throw a few OBEs in there every night, it soon changes things.
Oh, I know.
There's one there, Preston, where I was, I don't know if you've ever tried it, but when you ask to speak to God, sometimes what happens is another. There's one there where there's a lot of people around me, like thousands of souls, And what happened is I went through the portal, and when I came through, there was like a big beam of light. And I was sort of going around in a clockwise direction with thousands of others. And, you could see the glow on the body, and you felt connected. And that's the picture. But I was just this beam was about, it seemed miles high, and it was hundreds of meters wide. And there was just thousands, maybe even millions of people floating around the beam, just absorbing the source energy, And that was one of the experiences I had where I'd asked to take me to God, and that's where it went. Yeah, it was still a beautiful experience.
You realize that's a beautiful picture of what all mind is, the all mind.
Yeah,
it's all of us, and
that's how it felt.
Yeah. Anyone who does OBEs, I suggest they do that, because it's so amazing.
Well, asked to see God. Yeah,
connected. Yeah.
But it's, you never know where you're going to go sometimes, but if you're resonating well, it's going to be good. So, but you never do an OB from a negative perspective. If you're having a bad day, it's not a good idea.
Have you ever gone to the lower realms? Have you ever seen them?
Oh yeah, of course I have. Yeah, I've been enticed by the dark many times.
Yeah. It's tricky.
You know,
I went down to take a look. It's not pretty.
Yeah.
You know,
I was curious.
sometimes curiosity gets the better of me, and you shouldn't tease them because they will make offers. I was offered money and villas and things. They said we can give you all this, and there's times I've gone down and I've been, but you know, sometimes you don't know who's who, but you feel if you're in dark places, tunnels, and
Yep.
they said to me, "You've crossed the line." They're trying to trick me into sort of. But
Believing
maybe
you
I shouldn't have
belong
been.
there. Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't have been messing with them, like, sort of, because I'm like, as you gather, I'm quite a curious person, and I like to test things and push things and the boundaries, and
It's, you know what it is? You're alive and they're not, and they bloody figure it out real fast. And they're like,
But
wait a minute.
I've
You
been
know?
made other offers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been made offers.
I realized I was in a bad place when I started really flattering me heavily. You know, flattery. No.
You can do that.
Like, why are you
They're very
talking to me
good.
this way?
But then, you know, there's times when I've found myself out of body and I've had an argument with a spirit, and then I found him in the bedroom, and he's come for me, but I know what to say to get rid of them. There's certain ways. If you use the term YHWH, which is a term for a godly term, taken from the Old
Turn the
Testament.
light on. I'm not
They
kidding
don't like
you.
them kind of things.
Yeah, you just turn the light on. Your light. Turn your light on.
Exactly,
You
or
literally
do
become
that.
light.
And
There's
certain things.
I see. Ooh.
Yeah, they don't. But you know, ultimately, I try and treat all spirits with respect if I see them. Like in the spirit group, I said before, you see them moving around, and sometimes, and if afterwards you think, did that really happen? They offered you a drink or something, you know, or they stood there and telling you, giving you information, talking to you, like, well, and you think, did that really happen? Did I really see that?
Wow.
And you think it did, you know, but at the time you don't. You're sort of in the moment. But no,
You try to
there's
walk
been a
them
few
over to the other side. Have you ever tried that?
No, I haven't done liberation of spirit. We did have a spirit in the home that was getting quite boisterous. He was after my daughter. Not me and Margaret heard him speaking.
Oh, no.
We heard him speaking when we were awake.
Mhm.
You know, so this is called the independent direct voice. And we were getting a bit concerned. So I got one of the mediums from the group that's experienced in doing the liberation and crossovers. And
we
we
have
moved
to do
them
this
on.
quickly because we're kind of out of time.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I'm done. Don't worry. Yeah. So we got rid of him. Well, God bless him anyway.
Yeah. Well, that's the
end of
point. They're sometimes they don't even know where they are at. You know, and help them liberate.
Exactly.
You know?
He was hanging around. I mean, a couple of people got a slap in the face, the males, you know, because you like the ladies. But
Yeah.
he was only about 18, 19. But you know, he's moved on now.
Well,
But,
we are out of time, so I do want to encourage people to check out Jed's book, The Astral Traveller, Guardians of Light and Shadow. It's really good. And I'm looking forward to your next book.
Yeah.
Jed?
How long do you
think of it like a training manual for the next book.
Cool. How long do you think it's going to be now? Like, is there a timeline? Are you working a timeline?
Yeah, I'm going to get it to the editor by the end of Feb, so I'm hoping to get it out in the spring.
Ooh.
So if the Astral Traveller was the training book, in terms of, you know, you do what I've done in the Astral Traveller, you will probably get communication and contact. And then the second book is about the contact, isn't it? So
can we help you liberate the book? Bring it out. We'll come on the show and announce.
Oh, I intend to. Don't worry. I've got, you know, we'll see as we get a bit further down the line. We'll have some conversations.
Okay. All right. Down the line.
But thank you for asking. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Jed. It was an awesome conversation. We truly appreciate it, but we do have to cut it short.
Yeah.
So thank you, everyone, for watching.
It's been a pleasure.
Truly
Thanks,
appreciate
everybody.
it.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you too, as well. I love having you on, just so you know. Okay.
Well, I'm glad to hear, but no, we get on really well, don't we? And there's so many areas we can go with these subjects, you know. But I think when the book's due out, which hopefully, I mean, I don't know, you know, I'll send you an ebook. I'll send Preston an ebook copy. You can do me another blurb if you don't mind.
I would also like to offer my services to you as a remote viewing helper. Okay. If you want to remote use something over here that I have absolute contact with, I will honestly work with you on it, and let's see how it goes.
All right. We got 1 minute. Otherwise we're going to not archive.
All right. Well,
Brilliant.
Thank you, everyone, for joining the Light Gate tonight. We're coming to you live from the beautiful city of New Orleans in Louisiana. It is the United Public Radio Network at 107.7 FM and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network at 105.3 FM. We are on Facebook, we're on Roku, we are on Rumble, and we are on YouTube. We love you all very much. Mwah. Go forth, be fun, have fun, learn.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Night, night.
Much love, everyone.